Having just shy of 6,000 hours in Satisfactory, I'm amazed that even now I'm still learning new things on a regular basis when playing the game. And I think that's why I find Satisfactory such an incredible game. There's always something new to learn. And having spoken to many players over the years, it's apparent that the vast majority of players note that with each new playthrough, their factories have leveled up in design or layout and logistics, and I very much feel the same. However, with 1.0 just around the corner, this is the perfect opportunity for me to reflect on what I've learnt playing Satisfactory and then share with you 10 lessons for your 1.0 playthrough. Now, the first of which is to keep it stupid simple, and this applies both to architectural design and also to factory layouts. Now, I for one love playing about with different shaped builds, but by doing circle builds or spherical ones for that matter, it causes a lot of extra work, whether that's avoiding Z fighting or moving resources through different grids and having them not align straight. It all makes it just a lot more time consuming and frustrating. And that's not to say that you can't play around with architectural design, but start off with small changes to the builds, such as the tips that I mentioned in my wall design guide. And once you've done that, you can move on to other things once you're more confident and comfortable building. I will put the link to my Satisfactory wall design guide in the description below in case you guys are interested in that one. Now, once you are comfortable with building, then you can start trying different shapes, but don't go all in straight away. It's far too easy to look at some of the most talented content creators in the Satisfactory community and want to try something inspired by their builds and then find yourself overwhelmed, and I for one often do. Now, the same does go also for your factory layouts. Now, I went big in my most recent Satisfactory Let's Play episodes and realized I had given myself a huge headache by splitting the build into multiple factories, even though one factory would have sufficed. As such, I spent just as much time fixing and rebuilding the factory as I did building it in the first place. So remember, keep it stupid simple. Now, another good rule of thumb in Satisfactory is whenever you're planning a build, ensure that you have more space than you think you need, because you most likely will need it. I learnt this in my first ever save, and I've kept it in mind ever since. And for more advanced builds, I highly recommend working out the facility's production buildables before getting started. Knowing what you're building gives you a good idea as to how much space you'll need for the build, and I highly recommend using a website like Satisfactory Tools to do so, as it calculates everything for you. But with the transition to 1.0, we may have to wait for the recipes to be updated. Now, as with planning your builds in advance, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to keep logistics in mind throughout your build. Starting off, work out where you want the inputs and outputs of your factory to be. And if you start without thinking about this, you will find yourself bringing lines in from all over the place, which can quickly make your build feel messy or like spaghetti. Now, if you're looking to make your factories cleaner, I highly recommend using logistic floors. These are dedicated floors above or below your factory floor, which house all your logistics, keeping your conveyor buses out of the way, making walking around the factory a breeze. And speaking of logistic floors, I recommend the first floor's logistic floor should always be located above the factory floor. This will save you from surprise hills in the terrain and rocks that are coming up into the logistics floor when you're expanding the factory. Now, if there's one thing above all else that limits your builds, it's power. Make sure to use priority power switches to ensure the factories that produce the necessary fuel to run your power plants are always the ones that are highest prioritized. This will give you some wiggle room to expand your power if needed without having to restart the whole factory if power suddenly drops. And having backup power storage is never a bad thing either. Now, with a lot of the resource nodes being reduced in purity come 1.0, we will be less reliant on the areas in which we build in the first place. And instead, we're going to be much more reliant on our logistics, connecting the individual resource nodes to an ever-expanding network. Now, I have always preferred the use of trains for logistics, but from the get-go, try and consider how you will connect resources to your factory as and when needed. And I highly recommend building a train station or truck station somewhere with plenty of space, slightly away from your main factory. This will make building large spanning rail networks and roads much easier without having to wiggle around an ever-expanding base, as you'll find you will do when you get started building. And to help with your ever-expanding base and rail routes and roads, bear in mind that blueprints are your best friend. As you get further into the game, you'll find blueprints make your life much easier, whether that's for easy lighting, adding time-consuming decorational supports, or train lines quickly, or even setting up factories with ease. Use blueprints, and better yet, spend time to organize them, because mine are currently a mess and it makes it very difficult trying to organize anything. Now, I know it's easy to handcraft everything you need, but this is a factory game and I highly recommend automating everything, even if the factory lines aren't running efficiently. Doing so will save you a lot of time in the late game, as you'll have all the resources that you need for building or advancing tiers. And if you do want to advance your tiers quickly, consider using some coupons in the Awesome Shop, so you can unlock tiers quickly or even build equipment like the hover pack that will make your life 10 times easier. It always surprises me how many people rely on handcrafting up until about tier 4 and 5. Now, Satisfactory is as much about exploring the beautiful world as it is exploiting it. And come 1.0, you will be gallivanting around the world, finding drop pods to unlock for special recipes. If you come across one and you don't have the necessary items, remember you can place markers on your map once it's unlocked for free, which makes planning what resources you need to take with you for your next run incredibly easy. And also use the little notes section to the right for anything that you need or want to do. My 10th rule is build with fail-safes in mind. There is nothing worse than turning on a factory and realizing all the resources are going down the wrong line, or one side of the factory input is empty. So you can create fail-safes for this by setting up balancers, smart splitters, and awesome sinks along your lines, and this can save yourself a lot of time when it comes to troubleshooting or fixing factories. And if you are interested in a fail-safes guide, then do make sure to check the video at the end of this. And finally, just a little bonus tip, but one worth mentioning. Remember, it's a game. Play for fun. Yes, the factory must grow, but it won't grow if you're sick of the game. So give yourself some time to just enjoy the process. Play with friends and install some silly mods, or change the game totally with mods like Satisfactory Plus once it's updated. This game isn't going anywhere, so just enjoy it. And guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to all of our supporters over on Patreon, notably our Solo Clips Patreon, Firefless, as well as our Lunas, the Calamity, Ben and Star, and our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Papa Snoozy. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.